Cashiers, who is the worst repeat customer you've ever had? I own Walmart stock. Oh, how I got to hate that phrase. I worked for Walmart for 12 years, and we had a customer we despised. She was in her 60s, and would proudly state I own Walmart stock and then proceed to treat us like vermin, looking down on us like something stuck to the bottom of her shoe, and we were lucky to be serving her. Her name was Ms. DeSantos, but we called her Ms. DeSatan. She'd have one of our people assist her for hours shopping, taking her time, picking this, sending it back for something else a bit cheaper, taking a much-needed worker away from us, only to get to the front and exclaim that she had changed her mind, and leave. Buying nothing, and every time we'd protest she'd come out with I own Walmart stock. She could walk fine, and didn't even need a cane, she just used one for the effect. I had seen her at another venue walking just like you or I. She'd get one of those electric carts we had, carts that someone with a disability really needed, and use it almost like a lethal weapon. She'd run over people's feet, crash into their carts, run into our displays, and ruin them, sending products flying everywhere. Children got to know to get out of the way quickly if she was coming because she sure wouldn't slow down or avoid them, not one little bit. Her three biggest hits included a baby carriage. Fortunately, the baby was in mama's arms, otherwise she knocked that carriage over on its side, and it would have been bad, and definitely a hospital trip. The baby's mom tore her apart in English, and when she tried pretending not to speak English saying no habla, mama shifted into Spanish and blistered her verbally. We were so nice to the mama, that we practically threw rose petals at her feet. A 1-gallon jar of pickles display, 5 jars busted, so 5 gallons of pickle juice with pickles slithering all over the floor, stinking up the whole store. We had to block off the back half of the store, pissing off all the other customers. It took 3 hours to get it all cleaned up, and oh how we wished we could have jammed every orifice she had with multiple dirty pickles. Her final hit was a genuine maple syrup display, running her cart through it, then proceeding to track maple syrup all through the store. Again, another multi-hour cleanup as maple syrup got tracked everywhere. It wasn't until the very unhappy overnight crew came in that they really had a chance to get the store clean. So one day I checked her out. Now keep in mind that with her a 3-minute checkout would take 20 minutes, as she'd argue about the price of every single item, and we'd have to check it and verify it. She'd try using an expired coupon, all the while stating she couldn't believe the treatment she was getting as I own Walmart stock. So after I check her out and send her on her way, the store security officer runs up and shuts off my register. There was no one else in line at that moment. He enters his code and runs off a duplicate receipt of her transaction. He looks it over and cracks a big grin, looks at me and says, "Got her, come with me and assist." My heart is pounding, and I'm starting to feel giddy as I go out the front with him, and we spot her getting ready to load the stuff from her cart into her trunk. He runs up, identifies himself, and states that he observed her place 2 tubes of lipstick into her purse, and according to the receipt, she never paid for it. Now my heart is really pounding and I'm getting even giddier, and out she pops with, "Yeah, you guessed it, I own Walmart stock." He looked her in the eye and said, "That doesn't give you the right to steal from here ever." That's not how you get your dividends. I barely kept from doubling over with laughter, especially when she started to blubber and tried the "oh poor forgetful me" routine. Word spread like wildfire, and we took up a collection and bought our security officer lunch for the next week. The overall mood considerably brightened for the next several days. I was called upon to relate the story of the epic bust over and over again in the break room, relishing in the description of her defeat. Now Walmart back then had a policy about not prosecuting the elderly no matter how much they took, as it just looked bad for the big mean company to go after the nice old person. Some of these old fellas were real nimble-fingered pros. But we also had many who may have genuinely forgotten they had taken something, so instead we not trespass them. So that's what he did to her. Now most old people despite this would return, and we'd just keep an eye on them, and usually they would not take anything else. If they did, then we'd enforce it, or make sure a family member accompanied them. We all knew her mean face, but he posted her picture prominently by the service desk for all to see. She tried to come back a month later and we came down on her like a ton of bricks and sent her packing. First, she stated she was there to go to McDonald's. Nope, it's on company property. Go to one of the others in town. So defeated she left, all the while proclaiming I own Walmart stock.